everybody and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make these Biscoff cupcakes. So these cupcakes feature a light brown sugar sponge, they're quite caramelly, and they're also filled with some Biscoff spread and topped with Biscoff Buttercream and a Biscoff Biscuit as well. So if you're a fan of Biscoff, you're going to absolutely love these. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is grab some cupcake cases. I'm just using some gold foil ones here. And you just want to pop these into your 12-hole muffin tin. Now you may be wondering why I say muffin tin instead of cupcake tin. It's because sometimes you might find that with some cupcake tins they're quite shallow and they don't hold your cupcakes very well, so I find a muffin tin is much better suited to an average cupcake size. Now is also a really good time to preheat your oven to 180 for regular ovens or 160 for fan. Okay, so once your tray is filled, it's ready to start measuring out your ingredients. So I'm starting with 175 grams of self-raising flour, and you want to sieve this into your bowl. Next you're going to add 105 grams of caster sugar, and I'm just sifting that through as well just to get rid of any large clumps of sugar that you might have. Next, to make these a little bit more caramelly, we're going to be adding 70 grams of light brown sugar. And you might find because of the molasses in this sugar it's a bit harder to sift, so what I actually did is grabbed a teaspoon and then just kind of rubbed it around the sieve to help work through the sugar. Okay, so once that's all sifted through, it's time to grab your Bicarbonate of Soda, and we're going to be adding 1/4 teaspoon. And we're just going to sift that through as well. Okay, so that is the last of our dry ingredients, so now it's time to remove the sieve and we're going to measure out 175 grams of margarine. So you could use butter here instead if that's all you have, but I use margarine just because I find it gives a bit of a lighter cake. It's also a spread, which means you can use it straight out of the fridge and you don't have to soften it like you would with butter. Next you just want to measure out 3 large eggs and add that to the bowl. Because this is an all-in-one recipe, I do recommend measure out your eggs first in a separate bowl just to avoid getting any shell in there. Okay, and then it is time to pop your bowl onto your stand mixer and add your paddle attachment. You could also do this with an electric hand whisk as well. Then you just want to beat this on a medium speed for around 1 minute. Okay, so after a minute the batter should look nice and pale and fluffy in consistency, and then it's time to grab a rubber spatula and we're just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Especially if you're using a stand mixer, I find this is a really helpful step because sometimes bits at the bottom don't get mixed in very well. So just scrape down the bottom of the bowl and fold it very gently as we don't want to overmix it. Okay, so the last thing we're going to add is 2 tablespoons of whole milk. Then you just want to pop the mixer back down and mix for another 30 seconds, not too long, just to get it nicely incorporated. Now just for clarity, I have sped up these clips, so don't be mixing it at this speed. I think it would fly everywhere, so yeah, keep it on a medium speed. Okay, so then your batter is ready, so you just want to grab your tin from earlier. And we're just going to grab you could use teaspoons for this if you prefer. I'm actually going to grab a ice cream scoop, as you can see here. I just find it makes the portioning a lot easier. And then divide the batter evenly between all of your cases. I find it's best to fill them around 2/3 full. Okay, so then you want to pop these in the oven. So you want to bake these for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven. I'd say check earlier the better to make sure you don't overbake them. You'll know they're ready if you insert them with a skewer and it comes out clean. Okay, so this is what they should look like. They should be well risen with a nice browned top. Then you just want to leave these to cool while you make your icing. So for the icing we're going to be using 200 grams of unsalted butter. Now you do want to make sure your butter is at room temperature, not kind of rock hard from the fridge, so either leave it out for a while before you use it, or you could just pop it in the microwave in a few second blasts just to soften it nicely. Then you just want to beat this for around 5 minutes until the butter becomes a smoother consistency and a lot paler in colour. So as you can see, it goes from this yellow, thick consistency to a bit of a paler, silkier texture. Then you want to measure out 460 grams of icing sugar into a bowl, and we're going to add this in stages, partly because as you can see it does have a tendency to fly everywhere, so we want to make sure we're doing this in small amounts, but also if we do it in small amounts it'll get incorporated better and the sugar will dissolve nicely into the butter. So I recommend just adding it in thirds, so in this batch we're going to add around a third of the icing sugar, and then mix, then your second third, and it should start to look nice and creamy like so. Now you might find on the last third is where it starts to go a bit dry and clumpy. Now that's absolutely fine, it's a normal part of the process. So just mix until none of the icing sugar is showing, and then we're going to add our milk, and that's going to get it nice and silky soft again. So for this quantity of icing, you want to add around 3 tablespoons of milk. Now this might differ depending on how soft your butter was when you started using it. So if it's quite warm where you are, you might find you need less milk. If it's quite cold, you might need a bit more milk because it might be a bit stiffer. Okay, so how do you know you've got the right consistency? Is if you grab a spatula and you can see it's nice and soft and spreadable, but also if you prod it with your spatula a bit, it holds a nice peak, and that means it's nice and thick, so it'll hold its shape when you pipe with it. So if you found your icing just a bit too stiff, I'd recommend just adding a bit more milk at this stage, or if it's a bit too loose, then you can add a bit more icing sugar. Okay, so once you're happy with your icing's consistency, it's time to grab your Biscoff spread, and we're going to add around 3 teaspoons. Then you just want to mix this until it's all incorporated together. And as you can see, it'll become this really nice caramelly colour, and it's also really silky and soft still. And then it's time to get your piping bag ready, so I've got it fitted with an open star piping tip, and I've also got this little contraption next to it which you can see, which you could use a glass to hold your piping bag. I've got this which I'm going to pop my piping bag into, and it just holds your piping bag for you, so it's much easier to fill it. Then just pop your icing in. And then once that's all filled, just want to take it off and then twist the bag to secure it. And we're going to place this aside until we're ready to use it. Okay, so then it's time to get started on the filling. So what you want to do is grab a little bowl, and we're going to measure out around 6 teaspoons of Biscoff and just melt that in the microwave, as you can see I've done here. Then you just want to grab a piping bag, and we're just going to pour all of this melted Biscoff into it, and that's going to make it much easier to fill each cupcake. So once your piping bag's ready, just pour it in. And then just twist the end to secure it and pop it to a side till we're ready to use. Okay, so now it's time to core the cupcakes. So this is what's going to give us the nice centre to fill with our Biscoff. So I've just got an apple corer here, or you could use a little knife and just cut the middles out of the cupcakes. Okay, so then you just want to grab your Biscoff that we had from earlier and snip the tip of the piping bag and start filling all of your cupcakes. And you want to make sure you have a little bit left over just to drizzle on top at the end as part of the decoration. Okay, so now it's time to get piping. So what we're going to do is, if you want to grab your piping bag, and we're just going to squeeze down in the middle and then swirl around, and that's going to give you a really nice dollop of icing on top of each cupcake. Then as a finishing touch, you just want to grab your drizzle from earlier, and we're just going to drizzle our Biscoff all over our lovely cupcakes. And And lastly, to finish it off, we're just going to add a Biscoff Biscuit to each one. So I'm using Biscoff creams here. You could use the regular Biscoff Biscuits as well, but I think the Biscoff creams look really good on top of each cupcake. Okay, so here are the finished cupcakes. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe down below, and I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks for watching, bye!